Wait for it. Are we there? Are we there indeed? We are now live. Hello everyone. Check out this. Here comes the intro credits. And boom. Okay, welcome everyone to the Slam Jam Wrestling Show here on the Extreme Improv Xstreamed YouTube channel, as well as the Slam Jam Wrestling Show YouTube channel itself. Make sure you smash that subscribe button wherever you're watching, and if you're listening to the audio version, well, good for you as well. Now, just going by the background you had there for a moment, TJ, I will say you are here. Say hello to the people.
I'm here. Yeah. So, hey people, I'm here from, let's just say, parts unknown today.
Yeah. Now, to borrow a phrase from our good friend Cody Rhodes, what would you like to talk about?
Sorry?
Am I breaking up? I just tried my best line of, what do you want to talk about? Like, trying to be a bit Cody there. I think the big news, there's been a lot happen in the last week since our last show. Obviously, the biggest news of which is the Honky Tonk Man is no longer the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion of all time.
But he is, unless...
What?
Gunther... I think he breaks the record tomorrow.
Oh, okay, yes, so, I see what you mean.
Unless something happens, unless maybe there's some 24/7 rule and someone challenges him, I don't know, on the streets and he loses his title. You never know. Maybe R-Truth challenges him.
Well, yeah, absolutely. So if the Honky Tonk Man assassinates Gunther, like, within the next 24 hours, then technically, he wouldn't have beaten it. Like, the Honky Tonk Man has been all over Twitter the last couple of days. Have you seen that?
I have seen that.
Yeah, it's like he's just reminding people that he exists. Good to him. Good luck for him.
Yeah.
But, yeah, go on.
To be honest, was he had the longest title reign, but I wouldn't call it the best. Of course it's a long time ago, but I think there are far more memorable title reigns. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, there's been like the Honky Tonk Man. No, I don't even know if there is a best of Honky Tonk Man DVD.
I don't think there is.
No, I don't think you could have a best of Honky Tonk Man DVD. But like, if we're gonna go into that, then was Bruno's reign better than what Roman's done now? Has Roman not defended enough for it to, how do you judge? Like, those who, if we, Orange Cassidy defending the international championship, every week for the last God knows how long. It's does that make it a better reign? Is it by how many defenses you have? Is it by who your defenses are against? There's lots of ways in which you could measure it.
Yeah, but it's not just defenses. I think in case of Roman's title reign, there was always a storyline that was happening. There's always something that he was a part of. And which was, I don't really watch WWE that much, but even I know what happened with Roman and his feud. So, and I really haven't followed WWE in quite some time. So,
wow,
I would say that's a big thing. That's it is Roman's title reign is mainstream. It might just be the best title reign in modern day. I don't know if there's any other title reign that comes close, at least in the...
I was going to say, there was a specific one with this guy up here who held it for quite a long time, and that is CM Punk. I thought that was a pretty impressive title reign. And I always feel like people forget that Punk actually kind of held it longer. Didn't he lose it at one point for a very short while and then win it back? I forget the lineage.
Yeah, but he had the 434 days. Did he lose it in between?
He didn't lose it in between that, but I think before... Okay, hang on. So, WWE Championship. Let's find out the true history here. Let's see if I can bring this up on screen as well. Use these fancy screen share abilities. So, let's see what we've got. Window. Let's go to WWE Championship and share this. And So when we come down to the championship history,
I think if you mean from when he won the title from Cena, I think Alberto Del Rio cashed in,
yeah,
and
that's
then
it.
yeah, that stuff happened with Kevin Nash being involved.
Yeah, so where are we up to? The Miz,
Is CM
CM
Punk.
Punk. Yeah, so he held
They got
it.
vacated. Then Rey Mysterio won the title. Then Cena won it on the same
Yeah,
night.
that's it. So Punk had it for 28 days, and then Del Rio obviously cashed in, then Cena, Alberto, and then Punk. It's just like that whole Alberto stuff. There's so many times when we've had a cash in of the Money in the Bank where it's just kind of a distraction. And they have to end up getting back to the course they were on before. Like
Yeah.
Punk was hot then. They didn't need to have distractions with Cena and Alberto in between.
Yeah. Yeah. True.
But anyway, speaking of CM Punk, I think he's been in the news a bit recently.
That's new for him, isn't it?
Yeah.
He's not someone that's in controversy.
No,
That's
like he's as good as gold. He's a sweetheart. But yeah, CM Punk fired. The first person, in fact, officially fired by Tony Khan in this manner.
The first person ever
Yeah.
to be fired by both WWE and AEW.
Well, to be fair, he's the first one that actually properly fired by AEW at all. I know someone's going to be saying, because we did have this on our group chat a few days ago about Jimmy Havoc and B Priestley and stuff like that. I somewhat looked that up, and they didn't ever put out a press release. It was just that they were gone.
Yeah.
So this is literally the very first person that AEW have fired, and it's the biggest star they've ever had. TJ, I may not be able to say this many more times, but for right now, I will say it. It's a work! It has to be a work.
Are you sure?
Well, no, not at all. Like, my theory, like, if it was ever going to be a work, the anniversary of All Out would have been where something would have happened, and something did happen, but not having Punk on the shows in Chicago just makes it seem so much like it's not a work, it's unreal.
It's like, I'm at that stage where, so I see a lot of the internet fans, they get really pissed when it's a work, but for me, I love getting work. Like, it kind of makes wrestling more enjoyable. So if this is a work, if this is something, if they hit me at a point where I absolutely don't see it coming and CM Punk comes back, good job.
I mean, look, maybe it's not a work, and maybe CM Punk could still come back.
Or that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But at this point, I don't know, like, what are they gaining out of this if this is a work? It just makes the company, Tony, everyone else look bad.
Yeah. Okay, here's something. Now, I'm deep into this conspiracy theory, and people in the not-so-distant future will find out how deep I am into this conspiracy theory. But no one else is really talking about this. Like, Tony Khan, AEW, they put out a press release. Then they have the video at the start of Collision. It's like, hey guys, I've released CM Punk, blah, blah, blah. And separately to that, for a third way of making sure everyone knows, they had Tony Khan come out on the stage explaining to everyone why he did what he had to do. Now, first of all, Tony Khan saying, I felt my life was in danger, is like the biggest wimp thing he could ever say. And if that isn't a heel turn, if you think the pre-recorded, the pre-tape at the start of the show, didn't that really smell like Vince McMahon's Brett Screwed Brett promo?
It did. So here's the thing.
Mr. McCann is happening, baby.
Here's the thing. I think, I don't know if I discussed this with you guys at one of the shows before or not, but, or maybe in the chat. The CM Punk character, if you look at, he's such an anti-authority character. He's the going against the system kind of character. That character works really well in a promotion like WWE, a company that takes pride in being the heels. Like WWE will tell you on your face that your opinion does not matter.
Yeah.
Remember those promos by Triple H where he's like, "What are you gonna do? Are you and your friend Mark gonna stop watching?" That works in WWE. In a
Yeah.
promotion like AEW, which is built on the idea of giving the fans what they want, the whole CM Punk character. I mean, of course, Punk can be something or the other, but you cannot get the best version of CM Punk.
No.
So
Absolutely. Yeah. Keep going.
So yeah, to add to your theory, maybe there's a very slight chance that they're trying to, make
Look.
people actually believe that this is real. CM Punk is like this bitter old person, and then
Yeah.
like,
Now, but like, here's the thing: CM Punk. He comes back. Well, he comes back to wrestling. CM Punk is in AEW, and as you can see, I've got the pink and black attack around here. CM Punk, much like myself, is a big Bret Hart fan. And he starts referencing Bret Hart matches left, right, and centre. CM Punk is also on the microphone saying, "Oh, guys, is this loving ever going to end?" And he also says, at some point I'll get pissed off, but, be careful what you wish for. Now, like you say, AEW is all friends wrestling, and it's going to give the people what they want. So Punk is completely neutered. So Punk is a great heel. He's a great face.
Can you repeat that? Which Punk is completely
Neutered. His balls are cut off like a dog.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So, make... if you don't have Shawn Michaels to be the opposite to Bret Hart and Triple H to be the opposite to Bret Hart or CM Punk and the Vince McMahon, you turn Tony Khan as your Mr. McKhan. You turn Adam Hangman Page into your Shawn Michaels. You turn the Young Bucks or whatever into your Triple H, and then you've got everything set. And you think one second. So Brawl Out happens, and it stinks. It smells so much like the Montreal Screwjob. Bret punches Vince McMahon in the back and stuff. In the backstage area. Now CM Punk punches someone in the back. CM Punk's bitter, Bret Hart's bitter. And then it's like, well, this has everything, but CM Punk didn't actually leave. So Bret was screwed out of the championship, and he was out of the company. The only way you get the full recreation if his CM Punk is out of the company. Bret Hart being out of the company happened in Montreal. CM Punk being out of the company happened in Chicago. Like, it feels too much. There is too many coincidences. And look, I understand. Humans look for patterns. Humans will look for patterns, and then they'll be like, oh, this happened, and deja vu and coincidence. But there are so many. I could literally sit here for the next 2 hours and say about all of the things which I've noted over the last year. That's being like, oh, this is for this reason, and this recreates this moment. Like, CM Punk was recreating matches with Goldust against Bret Hart versus Goldust when he was fighting Dustin Rhodes. He was recreating the 1-2-3 Kid with Darby. He was recreating Diesel versus Bret Hart with Wardlow. He literally said when Terry Funk died a couple of weeks ago, he's like, oh, the legends. I text Bret Hart every day.
I think you're right about everything except for just one thing, which is
it wasn't a what.
Page wouldn't be the Shawn Michaels. Jack Perry would be the Shawn Michaels.
Well, could be. It's interesting. Yeah, like the whole Jack Perry thing. Like that doesn't like. Where did he come in from? He was an unnecessary addition to this story. Like the reality is this. It may just be coincidence. This may not be a work at all. But it is definitely history repeating itself.
It is. Just one sec. If you're gonna do this,
let's go all in.
Representation.
Yeah.
If you're gonna go Team CM Punk, we need some elite representation.
Yeah.
So I agree. It's one of those situations where I can see your point, and I also feel like AEW. They kind of need their big. Oh, you're also drinking Pepsi. You're really getting hard on.
I am Pepsi Punk. Phil, baby. Like my middle name is actually Philip as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I am not a cowboy or. I don't know. I don't fit in any of the elites.
I bet you know the Greek alphabet though. You've got some sort of omega going on.
Probably. But anyway, so it's like AEW is yet to have their big, like WWE had the pipe bomb, and then after that, everyone started talking. Like I'm talking about modern day WWE.
Yeah.
Back then, there was the Montreal screw job. AEW like needs something that gets the world talking, and then when maybe CM Punk comes back as a heel, it's like nobody sees that coming. That's the big moment, and then he is the new big baddie.
Yeah.
But my question is, when do they do this? Like, I know AEW really love their long term storytelling, but how long can it be before it loses steam?
Hmm.
Also, I see your point about the Screwjob being in Montreal, this being in Chicago, but the crowd, they just booed Tony. They were pretty much, they were not hijacking the show like they were back
I don't know.
when CM Punk
Like,
left
I thought,
WWE.
genuinely, I thought we'd have You Screwed Punk
Mhm.
and CM Punk chants. And instead, they were chanting, "Oh, cry me a river." And I was like, what's going on? And I think this is a problem. Like, we've spoken about this. CM Punk spoke about this. The fans are soft. You know, like 10 years ago, they were chanting CM Punk for 7 long years until he came back. And now,
And the,
and now they've turned on him because of those
which
pipsqueaks
again,
behind you.
if he goes as a heel, if he comes back as a, like I said, CM Punk, for him to do the anti-authority version of Punk in a promotion like AEW is very difficult. But if he comes back as this bitter man who's just like, I don't think CM Punk is ever gonna go the corporate heel version. But if he comes back as this bitter version, like who is so self-centered, you remember in one of the Hangman page promos, I think probably the promo that actually started all of this, where Hangman said, "AEW is my home, and I'm going to not only defend this AEW world title, but defend AEW from CM Punk." This
Yeah.
is the version of like CM Punk that Hangman was talking about. So
I'll
you
tell you
have
something,
him.
just very quickly on that. Like, Hangman Adam Page thought that was like a good line. It was shit. It was a shitty line, right? He said, you know, I'm going to defend this title against you, but no, for the first time in my life, I'm going to defend this company from you. It didn't make any
From you, yeah.
sense. It was a botched line. Like, Hangman Page is lucky that he is friends with the Elite. He isn't that good. I don't blame Punk for getting shitty with him.
Hmm.
Hangman Page, like, if he went to WWE, he could get a WWE contract now because AEW exists.
Mhm.
But he wouldn't. He would go there and he would fail. They'd perhaps get a pay-per-view main event out of him if they struck whilst the iron's hot. But he isn't going to go there to a WWE and be a Cody. He isn't going to go there.
Of
Go
course,
there and he'll be Paul London.
I don't think he'll be. I think he'll be. I think he'll be more of the secondary champion. Like they'll never see him as like a Roman Reigns, but maybe what Seth's doing right now. Maybe he gets the world heavyweight championship. I feel like again the whole thing about, yeah, it's with Hangman. I think Hangman was AEW's biggest, other than MJF, their biggest project, because before AEW, Hangman was practically the jobber in the Bullet Club
Yeah.
and the Elite, and they did that was his entire story. I personally really loved his entire like saga with Kenny Omega, but that's also the thing. Once that is done, which is why his title reign was not that good. They had good matches, but it was not that, because his main fuel was him feuding with Kenny and the Bucks. When you take that away,
Yeah.
what do you have?
Exactly.
He hasn't had a very good storyline, and I'm a Hangman fan, but I would still say he hasn't had a very good storyline, since I think his storyline with Kenny was very good at that time, probably AEW's best story according to me. But after that,
Better than
I mean,
MJF and Punk.
no, that was before.
Oh, okay. Okay,
MJF
before.
happened later.
Okay, sure.
Uh, So yeah, again, this is another thing that I'm like, since you mentioned MJF Punk, this is another thing that I'm a bit disappointed in, because okay, this being a work, it does make people talk about it, but because of all of this, we couldn't get the conclusion to the MJF Punk story.
I know.
That was so good. Like, it was a proper supervillain origin story for MJF, and we did not get a conclusion to that.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
That's Joe. There's so many things over the last week that have been on X, on Twitter, where it's just like someone just shared from House of Black versus CMFTR. Alistair Black, Malachi Black sat cross-legged, Punk sat cross-legged. It's like, yes, it's right here. This is a feud. We didn't get it. We
was
didn't.
So good.
I know. Like,
I remember.
There's so much that we didn't get with Punk from the AEW roster. Like, matches that just literally never happened. Like, we didn't get Brian Danielson versus Punk in AEW. You know, we didn't get a singles match, Jay White versus CM Punk. We didn't get tons of them. We didn't. I'm trying to think who else we didn't get. We didn't get Adam Cole versus CM Punk.
Adam Cole versus CM Punk.
Yeah.
Also, I think personally, I think Samoa Joe versus CM Punk deserved more than what we got. Okay, they had a match. They had a very good match in front of this huge crowd, but considering before you had your Omega versus Okada back then, Punk versus Joe was the benchmark for a really exceptional match, and for them to end their rivalry on something that, again, AEW has this problem with building up to big pay-per-views, but I think Punk and Joe deserve a proper feud.
Yeah, I completely agree. We got a little bit of it. They definitely had more mileage.
Yeah.
We can continue down. We don't have to skip forward on this yet, but obviously, Samoa Joe seems like the first benefactor of Punk being out of there, because Samoa Joe, and like as you mentioned just before we went live, the push to MJF. I popped so much when that happened. Like, everyone knows that meme, MJF, and he gets shoved by Joe, and then Joe just does it, and he kind of grins afterwards. You know.
But yeah, that's something that I think with MJF, one of my favorite things is almost every one of his big feuds. It builds up to the MJF character. Like, you had the thing with Punk where he was just disappointed that Punk left. The other thing with William Regal, where Regal said he wasn't good enough. Now you have this thing with Samoa Joe. It just ends up building up the MJF character. It's one of those. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to promote different wrestling.
Yeah, cool, sure. Go for it. I'm not fast now. Go for it.
Okay, there's this I think wrestling YouTube channel called Cultaholic. I don't know if you've heard of them.
Yeah,
or
of
not.
course.
Yeah, they did one video about how currently wrestling is moving into linear storytelling over episodic storytelling. If you look at the storyline with Roman, like the whole Bloodline saga, or the Hangman Page saga, or the whole MJF storyline, if you watch the matches, okay, you're getting very good matches. But if you're following, if you're putting your attention, then you are rewarded as a fan, which is something I think I really enjoy. Like, you can watch the Bloodline saga or any of these as like a proper TV show.
Yeah.
It's the same with MJF. Like, who knows who's even with Adam Cole. He said that he studied Adam Cole. He was looking up to Adam Cole, and then you had this entire feud. So it's something that I think nobody in AEW does it as good as MJF does it, which is why I think it really pains me that we are not getting that MJF CM Punk match.
Yeah, absolutely. So their feud, MJF and Punk, I felt that MJF was doing much better in the promos than Punk. I thought he was dominating Punk. Now, something I've just found that I wanted to bring up here, if I just screen share it, just coming back to Punk for a second. So there's lots of things that don't quite make sense. So a lot of what we've heard, there is so much anti-Punk negativity out there. It's unreal, and it feels like propaganda, and it feels like character assassination and stuff. Because first we hear that Jack Perry goes over and they get into something, and then Punk chokes him out, and Samoa Joe breaks it up instantly. Then we hear like a day later that, well, Miro and Punk got into a fight, and I think we spoke about this last week, but it turns out that Miro was just like, oh, you're going to fight me next? And like, well, let's take it to the ring, and it's a joke. But then we suddenly hear that monitors are falling onto Tony Khan and stuff like this. And then Tony Khan's obviously saying, oh, like, my life was in danger. Now, if that's all happened, and then here's the other thing, and if Jack Perry at Brawl In was escorted out by security, he'd got cuts from the glass. They're not sending him out into like the outer streets of Wembley Park tube station when he's got cuts. He needs to see the doctor. But more than that, we have this. So CM Punk, you know, he was so enraged that him and Joe, and Joe isn't pissed off either. They're posing with Jerry Lynn and the referee.
Yeah.
Look at the blood on Punk's face. This was after the match.
After the match, yeah.
How do we explain this photo?
That.
How do we explain this photo?
Okay, if I have to, you know, go for a second, if I have to go against the conspiracy,
yeah,
if
go
I
for
have to assume that Rollout did happen. Perhaps it was like people were pulling them down, and then afterwards it was like, okay, you had a match in front of all these people. You faced one of your best rivals and probably one of his very good friends. So let's take a picture. Let's remember this. And you know, sometimes after you have a fight, someone separates both the parties, and then you're pulling them off, and then it's like, hey, have an ice cream or.
Look, never in 30 years of going to wrestling shows has Tony Khan felt that his life was in danger. Right? And supposedly it's because of a brawl between these two. Like...
That's the guy, if all of this is true, that's the guy. The guy with Punk that's the one that ended the wrestling career of CM Punk.
Yeah.
But also, speaking of Jungle Boy, he was having some real character issues, and now he has so much to go with. Like, I saw a lot of memes saying they should, you know, Tony Khan, since he loves getting famous songs for his wrestlers, he should get Crimea River or
yeah, I mean, to be honest, so here's the thing, like, me being the Punk fan, I was like, don't fire Punk, fire Jungle Boy. But my more sensible head on that is that with CM Punk, you could say, well, look, Punk, you've been in the middle of a bunch of these things happening now. Jungle Boy, I'd be like, well, this is your first offence. I probably wouldn't have fired him, is the truth. I wouldn't fire Jungle Boy over this. But
me neither.
Yeah, no, I like, you know, he's young, he's stupid. He said a comment. Yeah. What really bothered me with what Jungle Boy said is it breaks the reality that it tells the audience that, well, why wouldn't everything be real? Why are we talking about real glass? Does that mean that you sometimes use fake glass? Is that, you know, because literally later on, Orange Cassidy was getting the fake glass and everything. So I don't think they should do stuff which kind of gives away, like, that breaks the reality of stuff. But I wouldn't fire Jungle Boy over that.
That's my thing about this entire thing being a work. I feel like why is Assad calling me? What the hell?
What, Assad Khan?
Yeah. Should I answer?
Yeah, answer it. Tell him to come on the show.
Hello?
Yeah, tell him to join.
Yeah, he sent the link in the chat.
It's StreamYard. Tell him it's StreamYard.
Okay, it's on StreamYard. Okay, I'll send it to you. Give me a sec. I'll send it.
Okay, so we'll be having a run-in from our good friend Assad Khan. But yeah, so
he wants me to send him the link. Just give me a sec.
Yeah, by all means. Well, I'll say a couple of thoughts for the audience just whilst you're handling some of the techie kind of stuff here.
Yeah. Sure.
With Jungle Boy, he's such a random element. So, like, realistically, at this stage, I've said for the last year that I felt this whole thing was a work. I'll probably still continue to say it for the next 5 years anyway, until like
The CM Punk comes back.
yeah, no, I'm still convinced that Cody is a secret agent for AEW, gone to WWE to win their championship. You know, WrestleMania 40 main event, Cody Rhodes versus CM Punk, and then they're just gonna be there and be like, yeah, we're going to AEW or whatever. Okay, Assad Khan, OMG Assad sir.
OMG David, sir. Thank you so much for having me.
Always a pleasure, Assad. How are you?
I'm good. I'm sorry I cannot be on video, but I'm going to be on audio. It's like being in the commentator's ears.
It's okay. We know how much you love Cena, so we can't see you. We know you're a
Oh, I
big
love
Cena.
Cena. I absolutely love Cena. I'm so excited that John Cena is in India right now as we speak.
Oh wow, that's exciting. Assad, you're not seeing the show though, are you?
Of course I'm not seeing the show. I wouldn't even watch the show for free. That's the worst card I've ever seen in my entire life.
I don't even know what the full card is. Like, I'll try. What is it called? Superstar Spectacular or something?
It's called the Superstar Spectacles of Superstars.
Okay. Spectacle.
Featuring Veer Mahan.
Yeah. Oh, Veer Mahan. Well,
Veer Mahan's coming to Raw.
Yeah,
Oh
but,
my
but
God.
let's not deviate from what's at hand. I came here to just talk about Punk, because obviously, who isn't talking about Punk?
Okay, Assad, tell
Yeah.
me your thoughts. What's your hot take on CM Punk being terminated with cause in
By
AEW
Jungle Boy.
by
Jungle Boy is the guy that.
by Jungle Jim?
I mean, the whole thing is so absurd, obviously. If the whole thing is a work by any chance, I think it's the greatest work of all time.
Yeah.
Okay? Like the greatest work of all time. But the possibility of that is like really low. Really, really, really low. That's what I'm feeling. But there is a slight chance.
Yeah,
that
like-
it can be.
Like, Assad, did you hear our conversation before you joined us?
Yes, I was.
Yeah,
I was watching
exactly.
the show.
Okay, cool. But literally, the Montreal screw job, it's in Canada. Punk suddenly not there.
Yeah.
It's in Chicago. There is and like I said, humans will look for patterns. We'll pick up on deja vu and that. But this is literally history repeating in about 30 different ways.
Correct. Absolutely. I think the most absurd thing is that the story kept changing throughout the week. There were so many fake reports, and people were just reporting like some weird ass things, that were happening. I think at one point I read that Samoa Joe had to sit CM Punk down before the match, and he had to convince him to go out there to
Yeah.
even have the match. So I don't know what that was about. If he was already so upset.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't know what the whole thing was about, and I mean, I just don't get it. And there's this thing that's been going on for a really long time, which is basically wherever CM Punk goes, he is creating a lot of problems, basically. So at this point, I'm sort of irritated with the whole thing. Like, Jesus, what the fuck? Just get a grip, at least one. It's not good for his character as a wrestler, as a human being, even to be just that person, basically, where he is unnecessarily controversial. He can be controversial in so many great ways if he wants to, but if this is the only way, I don't know. I'm just not feeling it, basically.
It's true, controversy does follow Punk everywhere, but and like we were saying earlier, he gave promos in AEW being like, oh, you want the pissed off guy, well, you might get him soon and stuff like this. It's like, well, what do people want? Do they want pissed off Punk, or do they want Pepsi Phil?
Yeah, I mean, he was so happy. He was praising the whole thing. He loves AEW. Finally, he's home, and he's the the whole wrestler in him has been invoked, and he loves the place. And then suddenly he started hating the place, and then suddenly he started hating Tony Khan, and then suddenly he started hating everyone else around him. I mean, I don't know. Sometimes I feel the whole Triple H thing was like it really made sense as to whatever he was saying.
Yeah.
Like about Punk back in the day, but I don't know. I just don't know what to feel anymore.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go ahead, TJ.
I think I'm gonna agree with Assad because so let's say even if this is a work,
You're agreeing with
initially-
Assad. God, I'm the
No, no.
CM Punk of the Slam Jam show.
No,
Everyone's
hear me
against
out.
me.
No, yeah.
No, go ahead,
Yeah.
TJ.
So it's like initially they had the whole thing with MJF, where MJF was kind of like we didn't know if it was work or if it was a shoot that MJF is leaving AEW. Then you had the whole thing with Hangman and the Elite. Then now you have the whole thing with Jungle Boy, Jack Perry, and Tony Khan himself. So it's like if all of this is a work, why are you involving so many storylines? Why can't you just have CM Punk and MJF or CM Punk and the Elite or CM Punk or someone else? Are you so if all of this say is a work and say a year from now CM Punk comes back, does that mean all those individual storylines did not mean as much as the whole CM Punk storyline? You're kind of burying your own entire
Okay.
roster for this one person.
I'll give a quick answer to that, but first of all, Gav, hello.
Hello, guys.
Oh
Right.
my God, I'm so happy.
Yes, we're all here. The fellowship is back together. Now, let me just quickly give you guys this thought, because I am never leaving this conspiracy theory behind. So you think, weirdly last year, before any of Brawl Out and everything, we had MJF, like, his storyline with Punk, and then he was immediately going to put over Wardlow, and it was like, MJF isn't even coming to the show. Then he did. He lost in the opening match, I believe. And then he was, like, out of there for months until he came back as the Devil. Literally, and that was at All Out. That was at the same All Out show. And the way AEW sold us a worked shoot was we hear audio of like a telephone message of Tony Khan saying, I can't believe you're doing this, Max, and like, okay, I'm going to give you this contract, but it's the last time, you get your wish. And nobody remembers that. Now, obviously, Brawl Out happened and it overshadowed it, but no one believed that crap for 1 second that was some sort of worked shoot. Now, that was a shoot, that was a real message or whatever. Now, CM Punk, I believe, is genuinely smart enough where he could have been like, you know, we can't just have something with MJF like you just spoke about, TJ. It needs to involve different people. We need to put some red herrings out there. You know, it's like, oh, what, so a year after all Brawl Out, we're going to have Brawl In and he's going to fight the Young Bucks again. How about he just gets into a fight with someone else and then he gets terminated for it? Give someone else the rub along the way. Jungle Boy, his good pal that we can see here, Jungle Boy. He wants to give this guy the rub, get him involved in the story. You know, there's so many ways in which you look at this. There's so many things that don't make sense. If
You know, there's an audio of I think it was Adam Cole and Jungle Boy having a feud or something, and CM Punk was on commentary where CM Punk said, Jungle Boy doesn't get in anyone's space. If you have a problem with Jungle Boy, chances are you are the problem.
yeah, well, there you go. Now, Gav, give us your take on this situation.
My take.
Before Gav gives us his take, I just want to point out that Gav's take is the goddamn take, okay? That is what defines everything. That is the reality of things.
Well, thank you. I'm not going to take all of that because I could be completely wrong. I think it's real.
Sorry?
I think it's real.
I think it's real.
Like, when you think of it business-wise, like, how many people tuned out of even Collision?
Yeah,
89,000 people tuned out.
I
of
love
Collision, I
it.
think.
AEW have now literally had their butts in seats moment from WCW.
Yeah. And like the thing is, like, is it 19% down or viewerships now?
Yeah.
That's a lot of money to be like for an angle.
Yeah.
You want to actually increase
That's
the
for just one person who was in his 50s.
Exactly.
So,
Unless-
One-
But
They gave him an entire show.
Okay, let me just throw this counter thought out there. Look, I know I'm wrong. At this stage, I have to be wrong. But let me give you this thought. So, literally, as if you saw the bit of the show earlier, I said that Tony Khan saying about, oh, I've never been so scared. He may as well have had a black eye and say Punk screwed Punk,
You
right?
know what?
It was the same promo.
Worst take ever in wrestling.
I know, right? But the point is,
yeah.
so let me just quickly say, I do want to hear your thoughts on that. But the point is, that happened in WWE. Brett screwed Brett, and WWE was selling off the water coolers and releasing Bret Hart because they were losing to WCW that bad. And then a year later, they're dominating them. If AEW wants to have the most controversial, we've got to watch this show. As Eric Bischoff always says, controversy creates cash, and they have controversy.
Big time.
Yeah, they go. Yeah, but let's.
They already have the cash.
They have the cash. Okay.
Yeah.
Tony Khan's. I have never in 30 years felt in danger. Gav, give us your take. Assadie, you too.
Well, not being funny. With Tony Khan, okay, you take away everything, like the whole money of Tony Khan. He'll be just like, I've said this before, I think I said it in the group chat. Tony Khan is a mark playing with his wrestling figures, but they're actually real people.
Yeah.
But he doesn't know how to, he's never been behind a wrestling scene on the locker. It's crazy back there. And I think I even mentioned this in the group chat. There was times in the wrestling locker room, it's full of testosterone normally.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like it's like that anymore. And I know things have changed, in the past, even 20 years. But there's no more, and it's always frowned upon, and I'm sorry, YouTube. The whole toxic masculinity, that's the whole thing. So I think that's probably part of it somehow. So people, that kind of side is gone. But what I'm getting at is, you wouldn't have heard anything like this before. Someone being scared in a locker room, in a wrestling locker room.
I know.
You can imagine this,
what?
Undertaker.
Yeah, what must Arn Anderson have been thinking, backstage, listening to Tony Khan spout this? He said about his Glock and all that.
Yeah, and it's just what's going on? But again, I think it is a bit of a lawyer talk, to be honest.
Maybe.
Just to put this out there has been a clip on the internet where Brock Lesnar walks backstage and he throws the title on Vince McMahon, right?
Yeah.
What do you think is the scariest sight? An angry Brock Lesnar throwing a title belt on you, or a fucking Punk just
throwing Jungle Boy on you?
You have to be an epic level. I'm sorry I'm using the word, but you are an absolute pussy if you think your life is in danger just because of this fucking shit.
Well, apparently, that whole altercation happened in the private room. That didn't capture it, where Punk actually went after Tony, apparently. But
so let me get this right. Wrestling with Shadows stopped filming as Punk went into the room.
Yeah.
There you go. That's another piece for you.
Yeah, there's so many of these pieces, but yeah, so I criticised Jungle Boy because he was real glass, cry me a river, and it's well, you've told the audience you use fake glass. How about this? All of these backstage fights, as Rene Paquette stands there, now they're fighting, they're backstage assaults. How can Tony Khan expose his own business so much by saying he felt in danger from a wrestler on a wrestling show?
Yeah, and that's the thing. Tony hasn't got a clue. He hasn't got a clue, and he doesn't know how to manage them. That's the thing, bottom line. He should have squashed this a year ago, with the whole brawl out or whatever.
Yeah.
If it is real, it should have been squashed back then.
No, but you have to, you have to sympathize with the guy, even if he's trying, even if he's trying and he's trying to get better as a booker, as someone who is a promoter. I have little sympathy for him, but there is no alternate solution, because even if he were to hire someone to be in charge,
like Jim
I don't
Ross?
think that has enough. Sorry?
Jim Ross, right there, talent relations.
I know he has a lot of people that he can hire, but then if he's not in the field himself, I don't think he's going to be respected enough. Or feared for that matter.
I think that's what it is. He's not respected.
Nice.
He's not respected and he is not feared and he is not seen in that serious role as Vince McMahon is. You know, he was a polarizing figure because no one would mess with him basically. Unless you're like right up there, top of the card, nobody would actually Vince McMahon. Nobody would mess with them.
Yeah.
But you have guys like Jack Perry and CM Punk doing that. I mean, it's just sad.
But this is here's where like I'd like to bring something up. So I think Tony Khan's big mistake was I think last year or was it Brawl Out or it was Brawl In when Brawl Out when during the press conference CM Punk just went ballistic on everyone. He just he called out he literally made AEW look bad. And what does CM and Tony Khan was sitting right next to him. If you can sit next to your boss and just talk all sorts of stuff about the company, it is like that's one side of it. The other side, compared to what you're saying about Vince McMahon, I think that was again, it's kind of the kind of company that AEW wanted to be, where you did not have to fear your boss, but you also ask yourself, at what point does it get too far? Like
Exactly.
You need that balance. You
need that balance, right? You need that balance when you let. So these are all grown-up human beings, okay? If you don't give them any freedom at all, and they get upset. If you don't have any freedom, if you don't have any, leeway with stuff, you get really upset and you leave the company. Then you give them a lot. Basically, Tony Khan gave everyone a lot, okay? A lot of freedom and a lot of leeway, like do whatever you want. You can use the F word on shows. I mean, you can just, forbidden doors, stuff like that. He was just chilled out about the whole thing. And if you are too chilled out about things, then people will take you for granted.
Yeah, and they'll take advantage. And there's a ton of examples for it. Like one of which, in the last day or two, like Emi Sakurai has shared a video. She was at All In, and she's crying, and she's filming herself cry when Saraya comes out to We Will Rock You because she's the Freddie Mercury fan. Now, lots of people have shown sympathy to her, but I'd fire her for that. I was like, you've just stolen, you're putting a dampener on Saraya's moment, and like nobody even knows who Emi Sakurai was. Like on the first AEW show, Christopher Daniels came out with like the microphone thing, and then she came out with the Freddie Mercury microphone. It's like gimmick infringement. It's like you can't have everyone do everything on every show, and there's let me give you this quote. So let me see if I can find it here, because I brought it up. So Tony Khan was sat next to CM Punk at the media scrum at All Out last year, and Tony Khan was speaking about an interview that he'd done with Forbes where he was saying about Colt Cabana. And Tony Khan was like, I made it really clear in Forbes, and I just wanted to make it clear again. But then Punk cuts him off, and it says, this is not his position, meaning Tony Khan's. This is not his position to make it very fucking clear. There's people who call themselves EVPs that should have fucking known better. This shit was none of their business. And Tony Khan just sits there, the cuck that he is, and acts quiet. And Punk just said that he's running the business and that he's doing the $1 million gate. And Tony Khan sits there just looking like absolutely embarrassed. Like, no, not embarrassed, embarrassing. Vince would have never taken that. Dana White would have never taken that. None of them would take that. Yeah, he can't even drink water from a bottle.
Also to add to that, I think it was right after his feud with either his feud with MJF or his feud with Eddie Kingston, where during the press release, the media scrum, CM Punk says, next time I'm going for the AEW title.
Yeah.
And then Tony Khan just looks at him like this. He's like, what?
Oh, really? Are you?
No idea. So, for all we know, maybe that was not the plan. And CM Punk's like,
do you guys remember Stone Cold's podcast with this Chris Jericho?
Yeah. What was
he was
after he joined AEW?
Yeah.
Vaguely, go ahead.
They mentioned on the podcast how this actually, the whole thing went down, okay? Stone Cold texted Vince McMahon saying, yeah, I think we should have Chris Jericho. And then Vince replied, go for it. Okay, and then Stone Cold double checked with him. You really think having Chris Jericho be on the Stone Cold podcast? He actually double checked with Vince McMahon just to be sure that he is not out of his mind, or that he may have misunderstood, or just clearing things out. That I'm having a guy from AEW be on a show which is a WWE product, and Vince McMahon gave a thumbs up to that. Do you think when Jericho got the invite, I think he didn't even ask Tony Khan, he informed him, okay, that I'm gonna go to the Stone Cold podcast and do this shit. And Tony Khan being the chill guy that he is, of course, go for it. I don't think people ask him things, just take permission.
Well, there was that whole thing where MJF did like a podcast with someone, and that was one of the things that pissed MJF off. That he was like, "Why do I have to ask to be on a podcast? I like to do an interview for like Ariel Hawani or whatever that guy's name was." Yeah. And then but here's the thing with Tony Khan. Then when it was like Raw 3000 or whatever it was, Jericho was on it again. Bryan Daniel was on it again and stuff like that. And then when it came to Clash at the Castle, which was the same weekend as All Out, that's when Tony Khan was like, yeah, they're double booking against us. They're putting NXT and Clash at the Castle, and I'm not going to take this. And literally, Tony Khan just got himself so worked up, he scared himself. He's like, I got a lot more money than Jim Crockett like this, and I'm not going to take this shit. And he's just looking around, bewildered. It's like, I scared myself. Did you see when Daniel Bryan fell off the stage? Tony Khan almost died. His soul left his body from the last week. Oh my god! So the media scrum, Bryan Danielson was on it, and as he goes to leave, Danielson tripped on the step, and then Danielson is like, "Oh my god! Imagine I've just done this strap match with Starks, and then I injure myself this way." And Tony Khan is just you could see he was like, "Punk's gone. I can't lose Daniel Bryan."
Wow.
Yeah.
Tony Khan's had the "oh boy, I screwed up" phase of his life.
Yeah.
I can't really have it.
I think if Ric Flair were to be on a flight with Tony Khan, and if Ric Flair were to expose himself to Tony Khan would actually be traumatized for years.
Yeah.
He would talk about going to therapy.
I think Tony Khan is the type of person that hasn't never seen himself naked, let alone anyone else. He probably goes into the shower in his swimming trunks. That's the type of guy we're dealing with here.
Oh my god! Someone needs to Photoshop that shit right now. Tony Khan in a swimming costume, taking a shower.
I think he's actually on the spectrum, to be honest, though.
Yeah, I can see that as well.
Yeah, I think.
Oh, Gav, now it's hard to rip into him now you've said that.
Yeah, I know.
But then that doesn't... Even if that is true, Gavin, that doesn't, mean that you need to be soft, okay? A lot of gay people or non-binary people, they can be strong as fuck, and they can be hot-headed, they can just, rip you to shreds even. Especially if they're in a powerful position.
I don't think that was the spectrum Gav meant.
Oh, okay, alright.
I think you meant an autism spectrum, right?
Autism.
Yeah.
Oh, damn, okay.
There's many rumours about Tony Khan, but look,
I may have misunderstood, guys.
Okay, well, hang on. So, literally, to tie something in which ties into this story to do with that, the exact same day CM Punk is terminated, people notice that Sonny Kiss is no longer on the roster page. Sonny Kiss was literally the first wrestler outside of the Elite and Jericho that was announced as, when they did their, rally or whatever for Double or Nothing, the first one out was Sonny Kiss. And 4 years later, the years of never being on television, no thanks, no future endeavours, and I know AEW don't do that, but it's just Tony Khan's approach is so I don't want any conflict, he just ghosts people.
Yeah.
So...
I think that's a bit wrong as well.
It's wrong, because...
Tony Khan is basically Gen Z.
Tony Khan is...
Well, yeah.
Jay-Z, you should say.
Jay-Z.
I'm so glad you don't even know what Gen Z is, Gav.
Gen Z. You think he's Jay-Z? How's he Jay-Z?
Jay-Z's not doing this.
That's another Photoshop we need. Tony Khan as Jay-Z.
You think Tony can't text people like in abbreviations like like HMU and WBY and LMK and LOL?
I know
Yeah,
the
probably.
LOL one, but you're gonna have to help me with the others. Don't
Yeah.
worry about it.
You're too old for that. You're
Yeah.
too old for that shit.
Too old for that shit.
Okay, so let's just bring up the idea. So, work, not a work or whatever, Punk, seemingly, unless it is a work, is out of AEW. What do you do if you're WWE? Like, there's people have been trying to say, Impact Wrestling are interested. Punk would never go back to Impact. He turned up backstage there, just probably to toy with Tony
Yeah.
Khan.
Yeah.
You
He
don't
ain't
know
going
with CM Punk. Honestly, at this point,
It's so much better for Punk to go and work for free than work for cheap, you know?
Yeah.
He would rather work for free at some place who would genuinely benefit, I would say NWA, but not work
New
for
Japan, I think, is his only option outside of WWE. If he works, it like, you know, depending if he's got a non-compete, he could be at Wrestle Kingdom.
But of course there is no non-compete anymore because the contract is terminated, right?
No, not quite. Apparently, depending what the contract was, because they're saying it's with cause, they could say that they could hold Punk for a year. They said that, they said that a court would never get away with it for the same reason that Brock was able to, when they were like, Brock Lesnar can't work anywhere as a wrestler for 10 years or something like that. They were just like, it's not legal. You can't tell someone they're not allowed to work.
No, exactly.
But so they won't get away with a year. And like the whole stuff about Punk, you know, the Young Bucks friend didn't give him the taxi or whatever, or the car to pick him up, and so he had to get there himself. Punk has enough fuel. His dog losing teeth, he's got enough fuel that if he wants to countersue. But here's the thing, right? So Brawl In happened. Now maybe they felt like, oh, what are we going to do? And Tony Khan's like, I need to form a discipline committee of Orange Cassidy, who's my Undertaker. Let's not forget that, right? But no, let me just quickly say. So like, say Punk tried to literally murder Tony Khan. As soon as they got back on the plane, unless they're going to like extradite Punk back out there, he's got away with it. There is nothing legal Tony Khan can do about an assault or whatever that happened in England.
Yeah.
how did... I'm also curious, like, so I'm assuming they were all booked in the same flight to come back, so
Aye.
wouldn't it be a really awkward... Okay.
Well, are they likely to be like? I know Punk went out separately. I'm sure Punk probably was like, I'm getting on the first flight back. He was probably on a plane before Adam Cole Baby got to the ring.
Because I was going to say, there's a bit before even all this, because they were supposed to have a sit-down meeting, weren't they?
Yeah.
I mean, all of this is kind of just reported, like even the thing with the dog and the thing with the cab. I mean, there are pictures of CM Punk taking the subway, but
That's right.
Yeah, that's
What I'm getting at is that there's supposed to be a sit-down talk with CM Punk, the Bucks, and Tony Khan. Squash it all. And apparently Punk flew out to Atlanta to go and do that. And then at the last minute, they squashed it.
yeah.
They cancelled it. So he's flown all out there to do that.
as
Then he
far
had
as I
to
know,
go to England, to Wembley. So like, he's done all that, and then you're getting Jungle Boy in your face, and you're not even getting picked up from the airport. You're having to make your own way with all the other people on the tube. You're getting lost. I'm gonna be pissed.
Yeah.
but as far as I know, Sean Rossap kind of said that the whole rumor about them having the meeting was it was not going to happen. Neither of the parties. That was false news. As far as I know.
Yeah, but so much for like the whole thing with Miro, like everything, like there seems to be so much like false news, and it's such a weird thing because so much of the news, Sean Ross Sapp is one source. So much of what seems to come out is Meltzer and Brian Alvarez, and obviously the Meltzer driver is the Young Bucks move, and so many things, like so many people. It's like, I know it's like a lot of the old timers when we start saying about Eric Bischoff and Jim Cornette and stuff like that. Like, you know, Cornette used to be friends with Meltzer, but so many of the old timers are just saying, what's gone on with Meltzer? He's kind of losing his mind on certain things.
Yeah.
And then there was the whole thing a couple of months ago that apparently Brian Alvarez was upset with Punk because Punk was dating someone he fancied or whatever. So it's like there seems like there's a whole...
Married to AJ Lee.
No, now, but this is years ago. Like,
okay.
So Punk put out a tweet a couple of months ago, which was just like Alvarez is just pissed off with me because I was going out. I don't know if it was Paige or someone or Lita or whoever at the time, and Alvarez like really responded to this, and they were getting hot over it. So it's like, it's really hard to trust like that section of the media, especially when Punk's original claim was that Adam Page and the Young Bucks are going to the media, to the internet guys, and bad-mouthing him.
But then at the same time, like I think it was Sean Rossap who said there's always going to be a case where you would always hear two different sides from two different parties. But then I think the same can be said about CM Punk's camp as well. How do we know what they're saying is 100% genuine?
Well, that is true.
It ends up becoming which side you favor more. Do you favor CM Punk? Do you favor the Elite? At the end of the day, it ends up becoming a case of which side you want to believe more.
Yeah. What's your thoughts on that, Gav? Who do you believe?
Who do I believe?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I wasn't here last week. R.I.P. Right.
Yeah.
Very creative. So, who do I believe? I believe Punk.
I believe Punk.
I do. I've got to go with my fellow straight edger.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got to go with Punk on this. I just see them as... Do you know what? I'm going to say this. I actually cancelled my subscription.
Subscription?
Subscription. That's the word I'm looking for. I actually cancelled it.
To what?
After I saw Young Bucks going around like this.
Yeah, exactly. Victory lap.
Yeah, I was like, you know what? These guys get... And the other thing that done it was Matt Hardy.
Yeah.
Like, his little rant on Twitter or X. He said there's something about you guys don't make this much money and all this. And I was like thinking, hang on a minute. Should you really be throwing people, like, your money into people's faces?
Yeah.
Money comes from these people, why you've got it. Do you know what? Delete. I just deleted AEW. Subscription.
Wow.
Delete.
Wow.
And I was like, nah, I can't roll it anymore.
Yeah, do you know, this is a thing, like, and this is another sign where Tony Khan has got no control, because for like over the last year, we had Kenny Omega biting Pac's arm, we had Matt Jackson trying to do a buckshot lariat and failing. Like, this whole thing the last few days, Kenny Omega's drinking a Pepsi and it's like, oh, it's lighter fluid. It's like, why are you drinking Pepsi? You know?
Yeah.
It's like, there's all these, like, snark things. And yeah, CM Punk a couple of weeks ago was like, Adam Hangman is because he's a peg warmer or whatever. But I honestly feel like, why would Punk, you know, he was like anti-WWE because he felt he'd been mistreated. Why would he go into AEW and try to do anything other than the best job that he could? And in his feud with Eddie Kingston and MJF especially, Punk was doing business for them. Why would it be? And so, like, and over Colt Cabana, it makes no sense. Like, why would what I can see? No, go ahead.
I was going to say, he could probably wind people up the wrong way. He probably could. Because, like, I even remember hearing, I used to listen to the Booker T podcast.
Yeah.
I remember one time, he was mentioning that Punk was there saying that he's the locker room leader.
Yeah.
In WWE.
Yeah.
And, like, everyone was just like, it's full.
Yeah.
He's not the leader.
Yeah.
And he was there saying, apparently someone had stuff missing. And Punk was like, whoever's done it, better fess up, and you're going to have to deal with me trying to act like the big man.
Yeah.
So I can understand if he's there doing all that kind of stuff and rubbing people up the wrong way.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he's doing it from a good place as well. So.
Well, exactly. So on Booker T's podcast about Brawl In and stuff like this, or even before Punk was fired, and I agree with Booker. Excuse me. He said that if I'd got on the plane and I landed at Heathrow Airport and there isn't the car to pick me up, I'm getting back on the plane.
Yeah, exactly.
And Booker, he says a lot, which seems that he isn't a big Punk fan.
No.
But he generally, and I think he said in the last few days that he wouldn't have aired Dirty Laundry, and I agree with that. Booker T has a solid head on him. When he said that, I was like, you definitely told a couple of TNA stories about that. I wasn't doing the job for Eric Young or someone like this or whatever. But generally, I can see that he'd say, look, I'm not going to air Dirty Laundry. Punk ended up airing Dirty Laundry. But also, if you're messing me about, he didn't just say, I'm pissed off with Punk. And I think I vaguely know that story you just referenced about, I'm the locker room leader, we're going to get to the bottom of this. Just imagine a veteran, especially when Punk was younger. Booker T goes in there, The Undertaker goes in there, and there's Punk. Yeah. It's like, well, we're going to have a meeting or whatever.
Yeah,
it's just like... Yeah. But still, it's just like... Okay, so let's come back to Thor, because we are going back into the tinfoil stuff, and that is mostly my fault. But, if you're Triple H, and the interesting thing, Dana White did business with CM Punk. WWE and UFC's merger is about to happen. It might not be up to Triple H. If they say, look, we can do business with CM Punk. Yeah.
What about the money? There's money to be made with Punk. That's basically it. And the thing is, this is where Tony got it wrong. Tony just got rid of his big cash cow.
Yeah.
What should business have? The thing is, you should have suspended Jungle Boy. You could have suspended Punk, as he did. But you don't fire Punk.
Yeah.
Because he's your big man. And I don't think Tony understands that about the wrestling business. That's your star. That's who you're just creating a collision for Punk. You've just invested so much money on this guy that's actually generating. Look at the biggest seller merchandise even now on AEW. Punk.
Yeah.
This is going to push that up. Probably MJF, maybe.
MJF, MJF Baby or Orange Cassidy, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I'm going to have to disagree with you, Gav. I agree with everything that you said, that Punk is a big draw and everything. However, if you're in Tony Khan's position, you either take CM Punk's side and antagonize the entire locker room, or you just because again, if all of these mess ups did happen, then okay, Punk has a right to be mad, but in a situation like this, CM Punk is the veteran. Jungle Boy, like David said, he's the young guy.
I was just about to say that. The young boy. What happens with the young boys in Japan? They gotta get in line.
However, wait, the point is, it's not just it's, I think, more of a situation. None of us know what exactly happened over there. We just, so I would think it must have been probably something happened that made Tony Khan, really consider, okay, this is the same guy that tried to hijack the show and the press conference several times, and all he got, when CM Punk did that, when he's like, I'm going after the title, and you see Tony Khan's reaction to that, and you can say that was probably not in plan, but CM Punk said it in the media scrum, and everyone saw that. Now people are tweeting about it. You need to do something about it. Then Brawl Out happened, and again, CM Punk, if this was say a Jungle Boy or a Darby Allin, I don't think any of them would have received as many chances as CM Punk got. He got his own separate TV show, and at one point you have to think, yeah, he is a big draw, no doubt. I don't think any sane person will deny that CM Punk is their biggest star. However, what's to say? So CM Punk is someone, I think a lot of us said this, wherever he goes, controversy follows. He had the issues with Eddie Kingston. He had the issues with the Elite. He had issues with Colt Cabana. He's having issues with Jungle Boy. And what's to say? Let's say they suspend or fire or whatever Jungle Boy. They suspend CM Punk. 2 weeks later, CM Punk does not do the same thing with someone else. There were also reports, again, these are simply reports, but there were reports of CM Punk banning people from Collision, people that are friends with the Elite.
Well, like Ziggler's brother.
Again, in this situation, I think like...
but was Tony Khan not there?
I was just about to say this.
Like, who's in charge of this?
No,
I was just about to start. I wasn't going to cut him off. I was going to wait to the end.
Sorry, my bad.
I was going to actually say the same. This is a Tony problem.
Yeah.
It is. But I would say at the same time, I think Tony Khan realized that he gave Punk too much power, and at one point, you just cannot keep on doing that. And he realized if I let him lose this time, if I take no actions, I'm going to suspend him. He's going to come back after like a month or so, and he's going to do the same thing. And again, it's like clear that the majority of the roster in AEW, they're not really big fans of CM Punk, and these are the people that have been there backstage. These are the people that have seen, or they're the closest to what happened.
I'm going to say this: I've worked in places where I don't like people. It's not about, like, how I put it is, you're not there. You're not going to work to make friends.
Of course.
I mean, and like the things within this industry, within the wrestling side, obviously you're having to have a bit more trust with people because you're putting your body on the line. You're actually giving someone else your body to actually. So hopefully that person's going to protect you and you protect them. So it's a bit different, but at the same time, there's been wrestlers that don't like each other at all. And just, you know?
No, I completely agree. Like, I think I don't know if it's in the chat or with someone else, I also brought up the thing that if Matt Hardy and Edge and Lita, if they can work together after that happened, I was really on, I think them not doing CMFTR versus the Elite probably might be their biggest missed opportunity. Maybe even bigger than not doing MJF versus CM. Actually, no, I think that would be the second biggest.
Everything from Brawl Out, CM Punk versus Hangman Page, CM Punk versus Kenny Omega, CM Punk versus, they could have rolled them all out where it's like, well, if you want to fight us, you got to defeat Christopher Daniels, you got to fight Michael Nakazawa, and then you could have done all of them. Okay, guys, I do have a tiny bit of breaking news here, so let me just bring this up because I don't know if this is confirmed completely yet, but it seems that it is. Apparently, AEW have fired again Ace Steel.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, and that's if this is it's a few reports of it, but I don't know if it's just, it says here from PW Insider, but I haven't got this from the official source yet.
What their reason is for that one?
Well, they didn't want him in the first place. Like
I think CM Punk was the one who brought him back.
Yeah.
May I just say one thing? I have to say one thing though. If Punk was, quitting on his way out, he was actually saying, I quit backstage. Do you think they fired him just so that he doesn't quit? Maybe that's why Tony Khan fired him. Maybe, suspension was not on the table. Maybe it was done to, regain authority or be in a power place. So she thought of a situation like that, basically.
Do you think that
he was going to quit anyway because that's how frustrated he was, that's how angry he was. So maybe they just fired him to, make it look like as if he's the bad guy.
But do you know what? Like, not being funny, on your same thing, what if Punk wanted to be fired?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like you say, there was the report of him saying I quit, like you say, Assad, and apparently he turned up at WWE and Impact for a reason. If he wanted out, when they said that a few weeks ago that they'd re-signed the Elite, he may have just been like, he may have gone like, Jungle Boy, do me a favour, let's cry me a river, let's get into a fight, they'll get rid of me, I'm on my last warning, I can go, And like, and probably he was like, yeah, I fought Jungle Boy now. He's like, now you and I quit. And Tony was probably like, no, Punk, you're not fired. So he's like, what do I have to do? Bang, like this to Tony Khan. So do I literally need to knock you out, Tony Khan, so that you're not in love with me anymore?
My life is in danger. My life is in danger. My life is in danger.
Yeah.
I mean, okay. Here's the thing. So I would agree with that, but there was a report, and this is something that the person, both the people in this report have confirmed. Tony Khan had the option to extend Cody's contract. He chose not to because he's like, okay, if you want to go there, if that's the title that you want to win, go for it. Of course, I don't think he was too happy about it because there's also video of like Tony Khan saying he wants a big hug after the show went off air. I think after Cody left. Then with William Regal, he did not have to let William Regal go to WWE.
Oh my God, TJ, I'm so glad you brought that up because literally this week people like CM Punk wouldn't shake William Regal's hand. It's like, how dare he? Like William Regal was under contract to AEW and he's like, I want to go back to Triple H.
Yeah.
You know, he was literally like, he called him Triple H's stooge. He is Triple H's stooge. As soon as Triple H got the power, he jumped ship.
And even, you know what, if you spoke to William Regal himself, and
Yeah.
talk anymore, he would tell you that he wasn't the greatest of people back in the day. So
Yeah, exactly. You know.
Yeah, and then, but yeah, that's the thing. But I think if CM Punk really wanted out, Tony Khan would have, like, considering he let William Regal, Cody Rhodes, who I would say has been more instrumental to AEW than CM Punk is. Maybe Punk's the bigger draw, but I think Tony would have valued Cody way more than he does Punk. But I feel like at the end of the day, with CM Punk, it's like, how many more people can you antagonize? If you're always, you may have seen this a lot being said on social media, that what's the one common denominator? It's CM Punk. He is, and even before his WWE days, even like he had an issue with, and he has said this on his Best in the World documentary, that he had an issue with Raven. Funny enough, his issue with Raven is very similar to his issue with Hangman, where Raven wanted to offer, or Jungle Boy for that matter, Raven wanted to offer him some advice, and CM Punk was like, no, I do things my way, you're an old hag, you don't know stuff, and he did not he insulted Raven. He's like, over here, Hangman did not want Punk's advice, Jack Perry did not want Punk's advice. Exactly same thing that CM Punk has done before. CM Punk has made a career of doing things his way, saying, I don't need veteran advice, I can do that. That's literally the whole punk rock culture, and when someone else does it, he gets pissed. So it's like people aren't doing stuff to CM Punk that he hasn't done to other people. And
We've lost Gav. Device not connected. Oh, we've lost Gav. No, I kind of agree. Like, I don't know how much it was that Punk. I think there's been a lot more. Like, I know there was a story about, at first, him and Harley Race had like a little thing where he was like, oh, you need to have a certain look or whatever, and he was like, this is my look. But they found that respect or whatever. I think Gav is on the way back. But guys, like,
sorry about that.
no, that's cool. That's cool.
Found that respect, David. I think Punk chooses the people that he respects, and he respects them forever, basically. And whoever he likes and admires, they stay. Okay, no matter, and their opinion of him really matters, and they approving him, and they basically checking him out. Basically, like you are the hot shit, basically, and he's gonna use that forever, basically. But the people that he doesn't want advice from, he's not going to give a shit at all, no matter who they are. And I completely agree with Pratvisha Sheesh over here, TJ, that's the entire punk rock culture, basically. That's how they behave.
Yeah.
And, that's what the problem is, basically. They don't feel like giving respect, and they do get upset when they are not being respected. So
Yeah.
I
Now,
guess at some point we need to stop talking about Punk.
well, I won't stop talking about Punk for a long time, and I have
Wow.
reasons for this.
Okay.
But we are going to have to stop talking about it momentarily, just because, and I feel like we're right in the middle of things here. But so maybe we can find another day to pick this back up, because there is still so much more. We didn't get onto. We didn't get onto WWE. Gunther is now the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion of all time. We didn't even cover the results of All Out, which I thought was a good show, considering they had to put it together in like 3 days. And there's a ton of other stuff, but like I've got the Extreme Improv Extreme show, which is scheduled to start in like 3 minutes. So if we say where we'll find ourselves on social media, share what you want to. But with our final thought, if we have to give the hot take now, what is Punk's next move? TJ.
Why do you have to go first?
Okay, then Gav. WCW. That was the one thing missing. He should have just been like WWE, you know.
Yeah. So yeah, I think it's WWE. It's got to be.
Yeah.
Lot of money there.
He could go to New Japan, do Wrestle Kingdom, and then still do WrestleMania, you know.
Yeah.
Right.
And Stimpy is General Adnan as well.
Yeah. Sad. It's been a sad period. He lived a good life though, I believe, right?
Yeah,
He lived to a good age. Yeah. Assad, where can the people find you, and where do you think Punk's next move will be?
At this point, I honestly, like I said at the top of the show when I came here, I just feel that if he can do it for a promotion where he'll do good for the promotion, then I think that's where he should be headed, to a place where the place will be elevated because of his name. If money really doesn't matter to him any longer. But if it clearly does, then I don't think there's a better option than WWE. He is a thick-skinned asshole, and clearly, it doesn't matter to him as long as he talks his way into it, basically. I mean, he can justify him not being there. He can justify him hating the place as to why he came back. He can just get around and talk his way out of anything. So even if he lands back in WWE, fine, I guess. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, he can't ruin. I don't think he can ruin. I don't think he can ruin WWE any more than it is already ruined. So there's no point.
Wow. I think WWE's been good recently, guys. Come on.
Yeah.
Speaking about all that, we didn't even talk about not payback, whatever it was called, WWE paycheck at all. My God, the tag team championship match on that was really good. But
when was that though?
That was Saturday.
Is it this?
Yeah, that was on at the same time as Collision, which is one of the reasons why Collision tanked.
I heard a few good things about the cage match between Trish and I think Becky Lynn.
Yeah.
Trish is back?
What? Oh my God! Like, guys, watch wrestling. Trish has been back for ages.
On the Slam Jam show and not watch wrestling.
Oh, hang on. Now my camera's
I don't watch
gone.
wrestling. I don't watch sports entertainment. I watch professional wrestling.
Oh, we've got one of those guys here.
Oh,
look at this. My camera's pissed off now.
You alright?
Yeah.
Look, we watch professional wrestling, TJ.
yeah, I do.
Oh, there we go.
And how many gold medal matches have you seen at the Olympics?
That's wrestling. This is professional wrestling. There's a difference.
What? There's no. What? That makes no sense.
Guys, the last thing I'll say, because we are going to have to wrap. I don't get why So the one thing I am really sick of, a few things, loads of things, I'm just such a grouch nowadays, is that I'm kind of sick of them just saying professional wrestling like it means so much more. It's like, it's wrestling, it's sports entertainment, whatever you want to call it, it's all this exact same thing. But then recently, for like the last month, everyone in wrestling now needs to get their flowers, and that is the most bizarre thing.
Oh,
like,
yes.
Oh, we're going to give them their flowers. Oh, they're going to get their flowers. It's like, who wants flowers? You know, I want some championship gold. You know, what is this? It's a weird... There's weird trends come up on, like, Twitter, and then they just spread.
Nobody wants flowers. People want followers. And I want followers. You can follow me on Asad Khan Comedy on Instagram. And if you go to my profile, you can actually see that it says professional improviser. Okay?
We actually see you.
It's yes, absolutely. It says professional improviser. Okay? So please follow me then. Yeah.
Awesome.
You can
go for
check
it.
out my. Yeah, I'm just segueing into.
Do it.
I'm hijacking the spotlight from you, David. I'm the same.
I think the worst part was that you said. I think the worst part was that you said, "Check me out," and you buffed up your entire chest. I don't want to do that, TJ.
I did not do that. It's a camera thing. It's a camera angle thingy.
Sure.
But you guys can check out my artwork at All Elite TJ Ripper. That's right, I'm All Elite Team Elite Woo CM Punk. But but minus the gimmick, what I'm gonna say is I'm gonna go with my heart. I'm not gonna go with what's logical. I love AEW. It brought back my passion for wrestling. And I love CM Punk. I'm gonna go with David. It's a work. In a year from now, next year, All In, CMFTR versus the Elite.
Wow.
Let's effing go.
Well, here's the thing. Like, the very best works, you'll never know that they were a work.
You'll never know.
Yeah, like, because, look, okay, look, I know I'm going on. I need to really stop the show. Look at Orange Cassidy. For, like, the first 2 years, it's just kick, oh. And now suddenly, like, if you watched All Out, he's like, kick, like, whatever to John Moxley. And it's like, so you've had this slow character build. What if, for, like, the last 4 years, they've been building up that Tony Khan, this rich boy, this dork, is actually turning into Mr. McKhan, and he is going to be this evil character that they've just been introducing as this imbecile for 4 years. Yeah, exactly. Oh no! He's stamping his foot and all this, and it turns out that he's going to turn into this big heel because he's like, well, you can't just instantly have Mr. McMahon from day one. He has to be something else first.
Oh, you need a super villain origin. You need something very big for people to... Mr. McMahon happened after the screw job.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Anyway, guys. So my prediction is it's a work, but we might still see CM Punk turn up in WWE to go against Roman. Because look, Dana White they're taking over. Paul Heyman's still there. You know, Punk went backstage. Triple H is a smart enough man to realise that if he can stick the knife into AEW and Tony Khan, they should take that opportunity. And another week we can talk about all of the possible matches of people that Punk could go against who he never met in WWE years ago. And there's a lot. So the summer of Punk 2024 is on. Now, with that, guys, I got to go. But check out Slam Jam, smash the subscribe button. And with that, from me, from everyone else, stay safe. Always gone.
Can I pause you for a sec?
Oh, dude.
Just 1 sec. Just give me 1 minute. Survivor Series is in Chicago, and if he doesn't have an on, maybe we are not getting the summer of Punk, maybe we are getting the fall of Punk.
We already had the fall of Punk. He fell badly, you know. He fell right into Jungle Boy. Right.
But okay.
And with that, until next time, stay safe, always stay extreme.
I have one more thing to say though.